Today on the morning show, we put the spotlight on Eagle School here in Richland Center. Joining us, Principal Rob Westerlund and Director of Student Life, Kelly Coppernoll, joining us here today as well to learn a lot about what's going on at the school and what we can look forward to in the future as well. Well, Principal Rob, this is your first visit, so we're going to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would be so kind.
Yeah, my name is Rob Westerlund, and I've been in education for many decades. I've taught in Japan, Ukraine, Mexico, and most recently I've been a principal of several schools here in Wisconsin, and I just started here at Eagle School in January, so it's only been six? I'm like, it's been a blinding race to catch up with things and meet everybody. But it's they've got a great staff there at the school and a very fun-loving culture, for sure. And Kelly, who's here today, is the main culprit for that. And she has many different titles, and we haven't quite figured out which one is the right one. But I think she's either the Director of Student Life or the Student Life Coordinator or she's like the Snacks Director.
Ah.
Okay. So she takes care. She makes sure everybody's happy, everybody's taken care of, whereas my responsibilities include taking care of the documentation for accreditation with ACSI and coordinating the testing for the forward exam and pre-ACT and ACT and many other things that have to do with academics. Kelly is really good at sitting with students when they're crying and making sure that they're going to have a better day.
Mm-hmm. Which is great. We need one of those at every school.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what first attracted you to the job here in Richland Center, Rob?
Well, I was aware of the school here probably 4 years ago. I first visited, and Eagle School International, the full name of it, reflects their international nature. And they've had for decades now, they've had students from all around the world coming to attend the school. Most of it's just high schoolers, right, Kelly?
Yes.
So we have high school students. Right now we have them coming in from Thailand, Cambodia, Costa Rica, Brazil, Spain, and maybe some other countries I'm missing. And it really brings an interesting flavor to the school. And I've worked with a lot of students, and I've worked with international students in their countries, and they bring an interesting element to the school, but I have also found them to be very studious, very patient and respectful, and to sit in class with them is just a pleasure. You don't have to focus on behavior and trying to get them to sit down or pay attention or stop talking. You actually get to teach, and you get to have a fun time with them, talking about their culture, their languages. I teach a speech class, which is particularly important with the international students because English is, for most of them, a second language. And so I'm able to work with them on not just developing the critical thinking aspect of speaking, but also kind of the articulation and the artistry to speaking.
Do you speak other languages other than English, Rob?
None of them very well.
But having lived in other countries and worked in other countries, you must have to have some sort of knowledge.
Я
Right?
говоришь по-русски.
Something like that.
Je puedo hablar en español. Je ne comprends pas le français.
That's pretty much it.
That's it. Just snippets.
Snippets of that. But,
Radio bullets.
yeah, but you have a number of international students there.
Yes, we do.
Every year.
Yes.
And it kind of brings all parts of the world into one location, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely creates a rich culture there. And of course, we do have many students from the area, and so we have that nice blending of it. But we do certain activities which are a reflection of that international flavor that we have. For example, Kelly, can you tell us about what's coming up here at the end of the month?
Yeah, that was a great segue.
Thank you.
Asian Food Night is March 27th. And we have our students, like Rob said, Pakistan, Cambodia, Korea. I'm missing a couple. There's 5 of them. Anyway, they are all coming together to create a beautiful dining experience. And it's student-led, so that's really great. They have the opportunity to lead and to organize and to delegate. And then we also have adults making sure food safety is being taken into consideration, and hair nets and gloves and all things like that. But last time we had Brazil food night, and it was just a really, really wonderful experience. Mrs. Peterson did a great job decorating, so it looked like you were walking into Brazil. It was just a really festive, beautiful decorations, and the kids were working so hard, and they were waitressing and wait staffing. I don't know.
Waiting.
Yeah, waiting. There was waiting. And so we had so many really good compliments. They were just so proud of the students and all the hard work that they did. And it was quite a bit of a sacrifice for the whole week. They were, just trying recipes, making sure that it was the right, blend of all the things. And so we're very proud of this. This is actually the first year that we're doing this, but we've always wanted to do something like this. So, and then next we will have the Spanish food night. So everybody gets to shine and show off their culture.
And this is open to the public, right, Kelly?
It is, and we want the public to come because, maybe like taking a tour might feel a little like intimidating, but if you can just sit around and eat great food with people and find out how much you have in common and be able to just talk about life and all of that over food, I mean, that's hospitality. So we love like Jesus through hospitality and through good leadership. And so the kids are really excited about it and to show off what they can do.
I wanted to ask you about this past school year because it's gone by really fast.
It sure has.
Any highlights that you'd like to maybe look upon from this past year?
Yeah, well, I would say that our two highlights, and I'm not trying to get points here, but Mr. Westerland coming to our school has been really wonderful because even though he's only been there a couple months, I don't even know what month we're in. That's how great it's been, is that he's had so much experience. So when I do tell him details like, oh, well, we do this or we don't do that, it's not like learning the whole job, it's just the details or whatever. So it's been really great having him, and the staff have really liked being able to have our meetings and to find out information, and he's a very good leader. The other thing that is, the other person that we're very excited to have is Sydney Haynes. She's our new elementary teacher. And she is just a bucket of joy, and she loves children. She loves to teach them all the things, life skills, just how do we treat one another, loving them like Jesus, showing them, just how to be kind. Students, there's just so much, for kids just kind of having a more me-centered life. They want what they want. But just having the adults around them say, like, it's bigger than that. It's how you treat people. It's how people feel like they're being treated. And so, she does a wonderful job among all the other staff that we have, teachers and kitchen staff. We have wonderful kitchen staff. They're always smiling when they're asking what you want to eat. So it's like a happy family being there. There's times that we are growing through that are maybe a little bit difficult, but we grow together. And so it's been really a huge blessing.
What makes Eagle unique, Rob?
Well, I think one of the things that makes Eagle unique is, I use the term culture. But at our school, I would say that it's in our infusion of faith into what we're teaching. We have many students who will come to Christian schools who are seeking a place where they can be safe. They have experienced bullying. They and the parents have experienced things that are being taught and supported at schools that they don't believe in and don't support. And so we provide a safe place where they can come and get an excellent academic experience. Plus, we teach things that are commensurate with our faith and what we believe in. And some of them are just as simple as being kind to others and to support one another, to pray for one another. And so in public schools, they teach SEL, which is social emotional learning, which is great. It's almost like civics, what civics used to be back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And now we teach that just as a part of the faith component and the spiritual formation of our students. Is also kind of like how to just be a good person, how to be someone that is a good friend and a good fellow student.
The curriculum at Eagle unique then to this school, or is it?
Some of it is unique only to our school. We have certain instructors who have a vast background. Some of our teachers have masters and doctorates, and so some of them do create their own curriculum. Most of it comes from professional publishers called like Abeka and BJU Press and Apologia, and there's probably others that we look at. And so it would be something that would be unique to Christian schools.
So tell us a little bit about the faith-based education there and how you incorporate that.
Mm-hmm. There are some Christian schools in the United States that do have the Christian part in their name, but then once you get into the school, it's just like any other school. Whereas when I have parents come to tour the school, I make it very clear that we're not just Christian in name, but that we teach it. All of our teachers and staff, it's kind of hard for me to recruit people to teach and be able to hire people because they need to meet all the academic standards and the experience that we're looking for, but they also need to be able to agree with our statement of faith, doctrinal statement, which says basic things that a Christian school would believe in. And then also for them to live that out in their lives. So to see that they also, like the school, is not just that in name, but also practicing that in their lives. So we try to incorporate the faith elements into every subject that we teach. Now, math is a little challenging to get that, other than talking about like God is a God of order and that there's sense in what we do. But there are other elements in literature and science and I'm trying to think of other classes. Well, we teach anatomy for high school and biology and other science courses. And so we implement that into our curriculum and into the day-and-day instruction. We do have other things, like we start off the day with a short chapel, or really it's more like a devotion time. Once a week we have a full chapel service. The school has we have an auditorium available to us that's in the church that's connected to us. And so we can go in there and we have a full worship center there that we can use for worship and for teaching time for that.
You don't necessarily have to go to a certain church or even go to church at all, right?
No, we do have people. There are certain churches in town where we probably get most of our students, but we do have some students who their parents are just looking for a safe place where they can have academic excellence for their children, and we don't require any particular background as far as church going goes, but we do make it clear we don't want to hide the fact that we do emphasize the teaching of the Bible.
You have discipline problems? Have you noticed many of those?
Well, when you have kids, you're going to have issues with discipline. And when I first started as principal, I sometimes was a little surprised. I'm like, these kids act just like they do in the public school sometimes, or like they do at home, or like they do on the playground. It's like kids are kids. So we are really fundamental in helping to help form these kids. And one of the things I tell our teachers is that they need to be aware of how they interact with each other, because the kids are listening and they're watching. So I make sure, I do this anyway, but I make sure that when I come in and speak with a teacher that I'm talking to them respectfully and with patience, and that I'm listening, and that there's a good time of agreement and thank yous and things like that, so that we are pouring that into the students. When there are behavioral issues, I tell the teachers that they're the manager of their classroom, and that they should not have their students be like afraid of coming to the principal. They should be, not afraid, but have that respect for their teacher, and that the teacher is the front line when it comes to, we call it classroom management. And when there are kind of more extreme behavioral issues, I haven't really dealt with it yet this year, my short tenure, but then it will be brought up to my level, in which I can talk to them. A lot of times if I'm talking to kids, I've already developed a rapport with them, a friendly rapport, so they know me as Mr. Westerland, and they can talk to me and say hello, and we'll talk about things like sports and cars and stuff. But then when they come, they're not afraid to come to my office, but they'll know that I'm serious when I tell them that they need to adjust their behavior, and usually it's not a problem. the next step would be to, well, I'll talk to the parents about it, but sometimes we have to bring in the parents into the school and talk about things, not just for behavioral things either, but also for academic progress. If some of them are struggling in their classrooms with certain subjects, some of it can be motivation, some of it can be not getting enough sleep, but some of it might be an unidentified learning disability that they might have that we have to identify and then create a plan in which we can address that.
I have to be honest, I'm not sure that I'd want to be a kid growing up today, with all the electronic devices and all of the things like that. That has to present some challenges as a principal, doesn't it?
Well, it does. Kelly, can you tell them about the rules we have for phones and things like that?
Yes, I will, but I do want to go back to the discipline. One thing that I think that we do really, really well is talking to the students at the heart level before a thing gets to be a bigger problem. Teachers will often send me a quick message or talk to me in the hall and say, can you talk to so-and-so? I think they're having a hard day. And then I go and talk to them, and I just sit on the floor with them or wherever we are, and we talk about it, we pray about it, ask God to help them in their situation. Kids are just kind of dealing with the world as they see other things, other people dealing with the world, so they don't really know. There's not a way that they know how to do it unless you guide them. So I think that we're really good at, we just had a kind of a mild bullying situation where we nipped it in the bud right away. I heard that you're saying this is not okay. I want every student to walk into the classroom, know that they belong there, they're not being whispered about, they're not being ostracized. Just being able to love everyone and to show them the care and concern. And we all have bad days, and sometimes we don't react very well when we're kind of bumped up against when we're having a bad day. So sometimes it's just an issue of that, where they're feeling bad about themselves, or so-and-so made a basket and they didn't, and now they're angry about it. So let's talk about it. Why do you feel like you being a basketball player makes you more worthy or more valuable? You already are. This is just something that you do, so just being able to separate those things. And I think that it helps encourage our students to be more vulnerable about how they're feeling and why they're feeling that way, and then making it a more normalized experience to say, okay, I'm feeling really insecure right now, and that's why I'm being mean to so-and-so, So that's been really good, and I've had really interesting conversations with the kids where I talk about my own childhood, or I talk about my husband's childhood, anything that can help them relate more to me, because they don't, as a 44-year-old, they don't think they have much in common with me, but we're all just grown-up children walking around, So I think that that's really unique, and I love that part about my job. That is what makes me get up early and get ready to go. So I'm really grateful for that. As far as our rules, cell phones. Yeah, we have the students put their cell phones in a pouch right away. We treat it like it's 1994 or whatever. They talk to each other at the lunch table. It's great. And because we have all the international students, our local students get to have a more broadened cultural learning about how other countries do things. And so just learning about each other, learning to love one another in our differences also. And so we have the expectation that they're respectful to the teachers. Our discipline issues, we don't have anybody throwing chairs or swearing at teachers or yelling. We just don't let it get to that. We don't have them so tied down that they don't feel like they can be people, you know what I mean? But we have the expectation that they're respectful and that they honor one another and that they honor the teachers. So the teachers are able to teach. They're not doing counseling mid-classroom or doing parenting mid-classroom. They're able to talk about it. And then I'm right there, so they can just send me a message real quick. Hey, come talk to so-and-so. I bring them out. We talk, we pray. They go back into classroom, or they just come and sit with me for a while if they're really struggling. So I think that's another way that we support the staff so that they don't feel overwhelmed. I mean, life is overwhelming, so I'm not saying it's cupcakes and roses and butterflies and rainbows, but it's, I think, a very positive work environment and a very positive environment for the students.
You're kind of the go-between then, in other words.
I am. I am the go-between all the people. And I really, I carry it. It's heavy. So I want to say that. It's heavy, but I do feel like God gives me the grace to be able to do it. And because, how people feel about themselves and how they feel about others and tells them how they're going to live their day. And so if we put Jesus at the center of the day and we say, everything is for you, to you, through you, we're here for you, we're serving you. So help me to serve you by loving these people. And loving isn't always like, oh, I love your outfit, you're so cute. It's not always that. Sometimes it's like, oh, I can see that you're really struggling. How can I help you? Or you look really stressed. Can I do something for you? It's just seeing each other as needed family members, of one body, a good community.
Mm-hmm. Something a smaller school can do, Rob.
Yes.
Yeah, it gives us a lot of flexibility, and we're able to not only reach out to each one of the students individually, but I'm new, but the rest of the staff know the parents very well. Mm-hmm. And in fact, a lot of the parents work at the school. So we have a unique family sense there, in which not only do we have teachers who have kids who go there, but the parents, many of them go to the churches that send their kids to our school. And it's kind of more of a feeling of like a family.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk more about Eagle School coming up after the timeout. This is the morning show from WRCO. We're putting the spotlight on Eagle School today. Kelly Coppernall and Rob Westerlund are in the studio with us. Kelly, Eagle students have accomplished a great deal here over the course of the year.
Yeah, I'm a proud mama. Our teachers really want our students to do as many great things as they possibly can, and to challenge them to be more than they think they can be. One of those teachers is Mrs. Brenninger. She does an amazing job of teaching students how to write. Even students who don't want to write or don't think that they can write well have been really motivated and challenged to keep going and to be better. And so we won Patriots Pen Essay Contest winners. We have a first, second, and third in our, it looks like middle school. Also, Lucian Hamlin, he just became an Eagle Scout a little while back, which is amazing. He's an amazing young man, full of great character.
Yeah.
Very protective spirit, super wonderful. And that takes a lot of dedication. When I was at his, it was like a little meeting to see whether or not he would get that honor. Talked about all the things that he had to do and all those badges. I mean, just the devotion to do that is amazing. Iker is one of our students. He won first team all tournament at a basketball tournament that we had. Leah Puig, she comes from Spain, and she just won second place overall in her conference. And she was doing this crazy, scary things like the Olympians did.
Skiing.
Yeah. Oh, did I say that? No, skiing. Yes. Like the slalom and the
giant
G,
slalom.
All the things. So yeah, I mean, just incredible. So we're really proud of them. We have some more contest winners. I don't know exactly what the writing contest was called, but anyway, just really excited for them, and they're finding out, building confidence, just doing what they're doing, and so I'm really proud of them.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in. We will be playing back your Patriots Pen winners later this month on because they came to the studio and recorded their speeches. So they did a great job. What grade levels do you have at Eagle School then?
Kindergarten through senior year this year. Mm-hmm. In the future, we'd like to do 4K. Mm-hmm. We don't have it yet, but we'd like to.
That's a goal. One of the things we talked about during the break, Rob, is the fact that you really are preparing, especially at the high school level, for the next level. And you have a lot of students that go on and do well, and at four-year universities as well.
Yeah, when I look at our schools, We want to be able to provide a great academic experience for students who are at all levels and have career expectations at all levels. So we are a college prep school in that we are preparing our students to be ready to go to a four-year college. Some of our students have gone on to like the University of Wisconsin-Madison. They've gone to Ivy League schools and many other colleges. And so we want to prepare them, especially on levels like courses you don't want to have to take in college, like the math courses, to have that experience in doing research and speech as well, but writing, to prepare them for that. But what I tell my students is that I know that some of them are going to go to a four-year college, and some of them might have a career interest that only requires like an Associate of Applied Science. In that case, they want to go for 2 years to study to maybe the medical field or to be a vet tech or a medical assistant or something like that. They also need to do well in school, and we can prepare them for that. And some of the students are going to be more interested in the trades, something that they can get some experience while they're in high school, but then to come out of high school ready to go into the trades where right away they can be making like $50,000 or $75,000 a year. Really, it depends on the individual student and where their strengths are and interests lay. So we want to work with them at all levels.
This is the time of year when you start looking at the next school year. You're always kind of looking ahead. If parents are listening and they're interested, what steps should they take, Rob?
I think the easiest thing would be I like to call it Google. And you
Slow
go on
down.
there. Okay, so www. It's a World Wide Web. Anyway, yeah, go on there and just look up Eagle School International, and they'll give you the information, the contact information you need to email us or give us a call. Come in, visit the school. We've just given 2 tours the last 2 days and taking people around the school and letting them see what we have there. We have a full-size gym. We have an auditorium. We have some very nice facilities as far as the classrooms go, art rooms and things like that. We do serve lunch. Some of the schools I've worked at in the past, we just didn't have the facilities, but this has a full, like DPI-approved lunchroom and kitchen. Come in, see the school, but our website also is going to have information on there. And right now, we're at that point where we will be having, parents can come online and register for the school, but also for choice, the choice program. And that's kind of a little bit more timely, something they want to start looking at.
Right. So tuition could be taken care of if you qualify, right?
Yeah, with the Wisconsin Parental Choice Program, which we just refer to as CHOICE, is a program that's provided by the state, and many refer to it as the voucher program, in which they can use the voucher money. If they qualify for that, they can use that, and it'll cover their tuition. We have many students who are attending the school who are CHOICE students, and I was just looking this up to see. A lot of people ask, well, what do you have to do to be qualified? And basically, you can't make too much money, then you wouldn't qualify. But like a 4-person family, if you make below $70,000, you can qualify. And you would have to go online, but like if you had a 2-people family, you can't make over $46,000. A 6-people family, you can't make over $94,000. So it's 220% of the poverty line is where that's calculated from. But we have a lot of families that otherwise they wouldn't be able to afford a private education. But with the voucher program, they're able to use that money and come to school and get an excellent education.
How do students from outside the U.S. Find out about it? Because you have a pretty good program. You're bringing in a lot of people from all over the world.
A little bit of it's by word of mouth, but most of it is we work with nationals in other countries and that they recruit students. And we have certain requirements. One of the basic requirements is just their language acquisition ability to be able to speak and produce English specifically. And then they also have to be, the right age, and they also pay, none of them qualify for the choice program, so they have to have a family that can also pay the tuition.
I see. And Eagle School, you've really gained a lot in all the friendships you've made all over the world here, Kelly.
Yes, and I would have to say that June is the saddest month for me.
Oh.
I am very sad when you build the connections with the students, and, the first day when they all come in, everybody is unfamiliar faces, and you don't have this like automatic connection, but then you slowly build trust with one another, and you find out about their family, you find out about their likes, their dislikes, and then, their little quirks and all of that. And then I would say like March, April, May is the last 3 months, I think, is when all of the relationships really solidify. I think everybody's just kind of getting to know one another slowly. But March, April, May, people start feeling like, oh, this is my best friend, and then they go back home, and then they hope they come back the next year or whatever. But I continue relationships with a lot of them that have left. Thankfully, there's Snapchat and Instagram, so that you can stay connected with people. And they talk about, just like any high schooler, they talk about like, oh, I really couldn't wait for the year to be over. Now I wish I could go back. And I wish I could see you again. And, they're 18 hours away by flight. And but you just build these really amazing connections with these students. And then the local students, thankfully, they come back and they call and say, hey, can I come back and talk? And we've had students come back and become teachers. We have grandchildren of teachers that are in the school. So it's kind of like its own little legacy school, that they just have really fond memories and are able to come back and see those. But, the people that are from Thailand that you get close to, you can't just meet them on the weekends, unfortunately. But they remember their time, and it's difficult. I mean, I was an international student. It is very difficult to be away from your family. You have to rely on only what you know, kind of. You can't fall back on just talking to, finding out, well, okay, when I was in France, I could only talk to my mom for about 3 minutes once a week. Now they can do FaceTime, of course, and that's a wonderful blessing for them. But it is hard for them, and so they kind of struggle a little bit, but then they remember it so fondly of a year of immense growth. We have what do you call that? Like fully immersion. They're not allowed to speak their native language in class. They can speak it at certain times, but not in class. So they have to really feel pressed a little bit, like to learn, to want to know more of the words and that sort of thing. So it is really hard, and a lot of them are kind of stressed in the beginning. And I know this sounds difficult. It is difficult. It is very difficult, but there's so much growth, and we don't really grow unless we are pressed.
Mm-hmm.
And
out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it is a privilege for us to be around them when we're needed. Because they look to us for guidance, and I'm so grateful that they can come to us and that they want to. So both for local students and, high school, especially high school can be a tough time for students, but knowing that we have their back and knowing that we're not going to let anything happen to them that shouldn't is really, really important.
Mm-hmm. We have a small dorm, and so how many, 10 or 12?
Yeah, I think so.
About 12 of our students, all guys in this case, they stay at the dorm that's there by the school. And we have an adult who's there and then watches over them and takes care of them like a dad. But we also have, then many of our international students have host families that will take them into their own homes.
We talked about it too, about the technology, but you do have to carry books at Eagle School, right?
We love the books at Eagle. Yes.
Oh yeah.
We there have been studies. I personally, just to be honest, have not read a single one of them, but I have heard many studies show that paper and pencil and books help the student learn the information quicker and retain it longer. And they can also go back in the book and look at something. One thing that I think is also very helpful is that there is an actual piece of paper in a folder that is blank that you need to do as homework, and then you can see it. It's very tactile. You can see, I have those 3 worksheets that I have to complete, or whatever it is. It's not just some file somewhere that is kind of along with all the Instagram, messages. It just is a very good way to be able to kind of compartmentalize your life, where this is my homework, this is my schoolwork, and then on the phone and on the computer is all the other stuff.
Are we back to teaching cursive writing too?
We do teach cursive. Yeah, we need to be able to learn or to be able to read all of those important documents. I guess that there are people being hired to decipher some of those, like that it's a fading art to understand cursive. So we are kind of old school that way, that cursive is taught. We're very proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's either the state of Wisconsin or the Madison School District has decided to re-implement teaching cursive, and it's costing them tens of millions of dollars to buy the curriculum for it. And it's like, hey, we're old hands at this. We've been doing that all along.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important. I always wonder how you assign your name to, a document or whatever the case might be if you don't know that. Extracurricular activities, either of you like to talk about those?
Yeah, we have, now all of our sports are over, but we had fall soccer, and we had basketball, girls volleyball, girls basketball. That is a really, really great time. I think I'll just say for myself, I'm not great at any one thing, but I do enjoy a lot of things. So when you go to a smaller school and you're not great at a sport, you don't just sit on the bench or you get cut. Like you can play. You get playing time. You get just learning how to be a team member, learning how to think as a team and not just for yourself or about yourself. And we have a lot of growth in that area as well. And the students really love to cheer on the other students. That's one of the things that I really, really love. And we have our athletic banquet coming up, which to me just makes my heart so happy at the end of the night. It's exhausting to put on, as any event is, but watching the students get called up by their coaches and then, said a nice thing like, oh, you did really great at whatever it was. And then all the students cheering for them. And I don't know, it's just a great way of like building connection, building trust with one another, building family. It's so great. And the kids, I think, feel really good about themselves too. We have a whole food banquet, all the things, but it's really great to see the kids cheering for one another. That makes me very happy.
Mm-hmm. Helps build the community.
Absolutely.
Certainly a safe place at Eagle School. Rob?
Yes, this issue has become, to me, especially important. I was a principal at a school that's associated with ICS, and ICS is Impact Christian Schools, and they are a consortium or a network of schools of about 5 or 6 schools with connections with maybe 20 overall in the state of Wisconsin. And one of our sister schools, Abundant Life, had a shooting, a year and 3 months ago or so. And I was there in Madison, not at the school, but I was there when it happened. I was at the hospital. And something like that is any principal's worst nightmare. And I know the principal from there, Doug. And to go through that was very difficult, and of course it was just a tragedy. And so we take security and safety is very important. In fact, I just went through some training about how to assess, like a risk assessment. That particular training dealt with how to assess at that moment a particular student's, or it could be a staff person or someone from outside the school, what risk they might bring to the school, how to assess it, and how to properly respond to that. But generally, schools nowadays, according to the Office of School Safety for the state of Wisconsin, we create a safety plan. And that safety plan lays out the plan that we would have for any kind of tornado or fire, lockdowns at the school, if there's like a student having a meltdown, or if there's an active shooter, and how to respond to that. So yes, we have the security doors on the school, and we are always keeping an eye, because of the size of the school, we can keep an eye on the whole school sometimes, and at lunchtimes. And so we're watching students, we're talking to them, the teachers are connecting with them, and you can never say that it could never happen at our school. What you have to do is just say, well, we're preparing so that before it gets to that event, we can address issues and approach it in a way that's more proactive.
I think that's very important. And you talked about your training, Rob, too. But, sometimes after one of these school tragedies, you think, wow, why didn't they see this? How many red flags do they need, and those kind of things? I think it's important to kind of nip it in the bud, so to speak.
It's sometimes you don't know what's going to happen, but in the training I just had, one of the things they said is that students don't just snap, that there probably are red flags or indicators that show up for weeks or months before that might lead up to that terrible decision that they make. And we saw in this training pictures of things that students wrote on their homework. Things like, I feel empty inside and I feel so hollow. I want to die. Literally, they write things like that. Or it might be in social media, in which a parent or another student will share, I don't know, Snapchat, I guess, and different social media that will say something like, hey, I wouldn't go to school tomorrow, and say other bad things. Some of those things in the past, this isn't here in Wisconsin necessarily, but some of those things that happened, the school didn't respond to. And as part of the training is you take it seriously. You talk to the parents, you talk to the staff and the students, you share with them what's happening, and let them know that, hey, these need to be addressed. You don't just let these go anymore. We need to talk about it. There might be a student who's crying out for help, and we want to be the people who are going to help them and not just look past it.
Yeah. And Jesus says he is the light of the world, right? And he also says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And I think that that's really important, because when kids are struggling, we as a Christian school have the ability to shine that light, that specific light, that the light of the world, and the one that gives hope and joy and peace. And these kids, they're crying out for that. They're crying out in different ways for it. But so if we can be a support there, where we can say, yeah, I know it's messy right now, but it's not always going to stay that way. And there's hope. And sometimes teenagers, well, I think just the way that teenagers are, they really only see the day that they're in, or maybe like the next week, but they're not thinking of like, what is life going to be like when I'm 25? So just being able to provide real hope with the words of Jesus and the Holy Spirit, to be able to give them comfort, because he's the great comforter, and be able to carry that to them, I think makes all the difference. And so we want students not to get to that point where they're so broken and so hollow and feel so empty, but to make it so that there are other light bearers that can shine a light for people that they know, and so that there is just overall a more sense of health and wholeness and happiness and joy in their own circle, because then that temptation to do something horrible like that will be a lot less, because they'll say, okay, right now it's awful, but next week, next month, in a year from now, it's going to get better, and to provide that hope for them.
Provide hope, yeah. Excellent conversation today, you guys. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Anybody has any questions about Eagle School, they can get in touch with you. They can use Google.
They
can use Google. If you don't know about Google, our phone number is 608-647-6742, or our website is eagleschoolerc.org.
Thank you very much. Yeah, old school. I like that. Principal Rob Westerlund, and also Kelly Coppernall, Director of Student Life at Eagle School right here in Richland Center.